Good afternoon. In 2007, Yusuf al-Qaradawi, the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, spoke on Qatari television. He said, "I believe that Islam will conquer Europe, not by sword, but through da'wah." Da'wah means spreading Islam through persuasion, words, influence. It will continue to spread, he continues, until it conquers the entire world, east and west, and restores the Islamic Caliphate to its glory. This vision shared by Qaradawi, Qatar, Hamas, and Erdogan is no longer just an idea. It is unfolding before our very eyes. Earlier this week, the world watched in stunned silence as an invisible hand slapped the face of Emmanuel Macron. We wish him a fast recovery. Emmanuel Macron cast himself as the new torchbearer of the Palestinian liberation movement. But a far louder slap came with the publication of the French government's report on the infiltration of the Muslim Brotherhood in France. The report showed that the Muslim Brotherhood is the gravest threat facing France, Belgium, Germany, Austria, Britain, and the entire Western world, including Australia, Canada, and the US. The danger lies not only in its fanatical ideology, one that seeks to suppress all other faiths and cultures and impose Sharia law upon all humanity, but also in its cunning. Its end game is identical to the one of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but it means defer. It conceals its intentions in velvet gloves. The authors of the French report are unequivocal. The Muslim Brotherhood does not seek dialogue with the state. It seeks to bypass it, weaken it, and ultimately replace it. Its strategy is simple: infiltrate Muslim communities, build alternative education institutions, establish unelected religious leadership, penetrate local government, unions, schools, cultural NGOs, and finally portray the state as a moral bankrupt offering a so-called pure and moral alternative. As Jamal Murad, a senior Brotherhood figure in Austria, openly declared, "We do not engage in social work unless there is a clear political objective behind it." The Brotherhood has built hundreds of organizations, schools, mosques, charities all across Europe, serving a single mission: to promote political Islam and dismantle Western norms and way of life. Even in the context of anti-Semitism, the data must be laid bare. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans that were attacked brutally in the streets of Amsterdam were not assaulted by Dutch national people, but by pro-Palestinian Islamist migrants. The 12-year-old Jewish girl in France was not raped by Frenchmen, but by Islamist barbarians. The overwhelming majority of violent anti-Semitic incidents in Europe have been perpetrated by radicalist Islamists, incited in mosques, schools, and at home while watching Al Jazeera, the jihadist propaganda channel. The Brotherhood's primary funding flows from Turkey and Qatar, same Qatar that embraced Qaradawi after his expulsion from Egypt. Additional funds come from charity, but not only. EU reports from ECR and other European sources have exposed that over 40 million euros in taxpayer money channeled to Islamic relief, despite official warnings of their ties to terror and the Muslim Brotherhood organizations. In other words, Europe is financing its own destruction. At such a critical moment, we need more than ever leadership with moral clarity and courage. In recent years, we are seeing such leaders emerging in Europe, in Spain with our friends at Vox, with our friends from the Rassemblement National, the Netherlands, Poland, many of them present here today, leaders of parties and groups who understand the danger we are facing. Viktor Orban is a prominent example of such leader. The Hungarian government is paving the way for the rest of Europe with leadership that is willing to confront Islamic fanaticism and woke ideological extremism threatening the fabric of free society. And I want here to remind that the terrorists who murdered two of the embassy people in Washington was not an Islamist. He was a radical left activist. On October 7th, the barbaric attack on Israel led by Hamas, the Islamic Resistance Movement, that's the full name of Hamas, Brotherhood's arms in Gaza, was not about territory. It was not just a border conflict. It was a war of jihad. The Muslim Brotherhood has created a new form of anti-Semitism. It's called Islamo-Nazism, a toxic blend of jihadist fanaticism and Nazi racism. Hamas charter begins with these words: Israel will exist until Islam obliterated it, as it's obliterated others before it. These words are the words of Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood. The charter is saturated with conspiracy theories about Jewish world dominations, echoing the protocols of the elders of Zion. Many think that Nazi ideology was purely European phenomenon, but since the 30s, it had deep roots in the Middle East. Hitler was and still greatly admired in Arab states, in Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and Gaza. Our troops in Gaza find in many homes the copies of Mein Kampf. We are living in an age of historic realignment. The old globalist progressive order is crumbling down and rising in its place, thanks in large part to the brave leadership of our friends here in Hungary and Europe conservative parties. It's a new wave of healthy nationalism, a deep commitment to roots, sovereignty, clear borders, and to eternal values: God, family, homeland. In this struggle, Israel is not just another state. It is the spearhead. It is not a war over land. It is a war over humanity's future. The sanctity of life versus the cult of death. Freedom versus tyranny. Civilization and humanity versus barbarism. In this war, Israel has paid a heavy price. We have lost, since the beginning of the war, 1,862 people, including today. 1,200 soldiers and citizens were killed on October 7. And we are still fighting to bring back home 58 hostages who remain in Gaza. Right now, as we are speaking here, Ravid Chaim, a 2-week-old infant, is being laid to rest. He was born after his mother, Tzeela Gez, was brutally murdered on her way to the hospital to give birth. And after fighting for his life for 2 weeks, Ravid dies of his injuries. His short and tragic life is yet another chilling example of the absolute evil that we are facing. We do not ask others to fight for us. We do not demand favors. We are fighting our war and doing so proudly to defend ourselves and the values that bind together the free world. As the greatest threat to global peace, radical Islam, continues to spread hate and death, Israel is the first line of defense. The battle for the future of Western civilizations runs through Jerusalem, no less than it runs through Washington or London. We will continue to stand at the front line despite the appeasers in London, Paris, and Madrid. We do this not because we love war, but because we lack the luxury of retreat. Am Israel Chai. Thank you.